Let's talk about pain. So, everybody experiences pain if we sit still long enough. So even if you start off very comfortably, even if you're laying down, even if you're in a reclining soft chair with your feet up, if you don't move, absolutely don't move, eventually our body is racked with pain. Right? It's a strange feature of our body. We have to keep moving, otherwise we experience tremendous pain in the body. And that's why you see people fidgeting all the time. So in meditation, if we're moving all the time, it disturbs our mind. So it is very helpful to learn how to sit longer periods of time without moving at all. And so sometimes that requires a lot of patience and mindfulness, right? If we're daydreaming, then we start to fidget and we don't even know we're doing it. Right? You can tell when someone's like meditating but not paying attention. They'll be like, and you're like, oh yeah, they're daydreaming. So if you're sitting long enough and then you start to get some discomfort in the knees or the ankles or the back, somewhere in the body. Okay? So initially, let's say if your main meditation object is your breathing, so you just stay with your breathing. And you notice, oh yeah, my knees starting to ache a bit. Never mind. It's just like a thought arising, and then you come back to your breath. And then you feel, oh, there, my knee hurts a little bit. Fine, never mind. Let it go, come back to the breath. And then if you sit long enough and don't move, right, really be patient with it, then it's like, okay, this is really taking up all my attention. But still, don't move yet. But what you can do at that point, instead of trying to follow your breath, then you just take the pain or the discomfort or these physical sensations as your meditation object. So is it the knee, ankle? What is it for you?
Both.
Knee, ankle, everything, back, neck?
Mainly neck.
Okay. So let's say a knee, for example. So, okay, it's gotten to the point where we're still sitting still. We've been patient, but the pain in the knee is starting to draw our attention all the time. So, let's take the pain or those physical sensations as our meditation object. It's like a conscious choice. Now, I will switch my focus of awareness from the breath to my knee. Okay, now get interested. What is pain? What is it that we call pain? And check it out. Where are the sensations actually? Where is it? Is it in one particular place? Is it in a few places? Does it move around? What is it actually? Right? And notice the difference between the physical sensation itself and then what we label it and then what we react to it. So there's a physical sensation, and then we may add a location to that. It's like, okay, that's the knee. And then we may identify with it and say, that's my knee. Right? So this is the layers of things that we add on to it. So then it was that's my knee. And that's unpleasant sensation. And then we add to, I don't like unpleasant sensation. How do I get rid of this? I don't like, right? And then it hurts a lot more. It doesn't hurt anymore physically, but it hurts mentally. It's like we unnecessarily added all these layers on top of it. Which is it's going to happen. That's a very deeply ingrained habit, but it doesn't have to be there all the time. Right? So that's how we can start to learn about there's the difference between the actual physical sensation and then all the things we project on top of it. Now, the physical sensations themselves, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant, as an object of meditation, are equally valid. If something's pleasant, fine, we can pay attention to that. If something is unpleasant, fine, we can pay attention to that, right? In fact, in some ways, the unpleasant sensations are less conducive to attachment. But we can still have the attachment of wanting to get rid of it, or the attachment to wishing it would go away. So when that thought, or even just that feeling arises, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, then just notice that. Okay, then that's just a thought, right? There's a lot going on, even just when there's discomfort in our knee. You got the actual physical sensation. That's just basic reality. And we try to stick close to the basic reality and keep looking. Where is it exactly? If you can get to the point where you're not even visualizing your knee, that's quite good too, right? Then we're not just thinking of visualizing our knee and then pain, throbbing, right? Because that's more projected perceptions. But try to be aware before that happens, and just noticing, okay, what's actually going on? Okay, there's a little bit of pressure there, and a little pressure, throbbing there, and then it disappears, and then the throbbing comes back a little bit, right? And as you get interested in it, it starts to hurt less. It becomes easier to bear. Partly because we're interested in it, but also partly because we're not adding layers of resistance on top of it. So it's like, okay, there's that. And then suddenly we get maybe a little bit more throbbing, and then the thought comes in, I don't like pain, right? It's just a conditioned response from a whole lifetime. So I don't like pain. I want to get rid of this. I better move. But then just recognize that's just a thought. That thought is based on what? How many years of the way we've related to discomfort, right? Or lifetimes. So okay, that's just a conditioned reaction, but that can change. That's malleable. That's changeable. So then we pay attention, get a reaction, pay attention to the reaction. It's just a thought. I accept it as a thought, and then it disappears. And then go back to the sensations. Now you can do that for quite a while without moving. But gradually, if you don't move, the sensations become more and more intense. Become more intense, more intense, more intense, until finally it's impossible to be objective anymore. As long as you're able to be more or less objective, to say, it's like there's awareness here that's watching the sensations, even if the sensations are unpleasant, then that's very beneficial. But as soon as it reaches the point of, I hurt, it's all like just, you lose the objectivity, you just kind of, the pain and me and the reaction all gets kind of pulled together into one, then there's no benefit in continuing, really. I mean, you can try to tough it out, but sometimes all that does is strengthen our ego. It's like, I'm not going to move. I'm a tough forest monk meditator. I'm not going to move. But that's not really that conducive to wisdom. Actually, it just reinforces our sense of self. So once we lose that objectivity, then you just say, okay, now I will mindfully shift my posture. And then you kind of lift your leg off, and it's like, shift posture. And if there's still time left in the meditation, then just start again with your breathing. So you can learn a lot from paying attention to unpleasant sensations. Even calling it pain is a projection, right? Giving it a concept. So you don't have to think of it as pain. Right? As soon as we use the word pain, it's like we're not totally objective because not many people like pain. It's like, so we're already prejudiced against these sensations if we call it pain. So it's like, okay, we don't need to call it anything. It's just, yeah, pleasant, unpleasant, that's fine. There's just sensations. Or just think of it as, oh, there's a bit of throbbing, or there's a bit of pressure. And try to pay attention as close as possible to the actual sensations without labeling it. And that's very beneficial. And then just see how long you can do that. And doing this develops a real inner strength, develops a lot of patience, a real inner strength. And then if you can do that with your knee, then in other times in daily life, when things happen that we don't like, it's like, well, it's just unpleasant sensation, or it's just an unpleasant experience. And then it's like we have all this, it's like we're training for daily life. Because in daily life, sometimes things happen that we don't like, or we don't get what we want, or things are painful, or we're filled with grief, or something. And so this is like training to see, this is merely sensation, experience, and then we add the different layers on top of it. And when we see how that process works, then we can kind of take it apart. And we realize, well, all of the layers of reactions and projections and self-associations and identifications, that's just creating needless difficulty and suffering that doesn't have to be there. So it's very good practice.